Yes, okay, we resume again. So we're going to cover, so you've done product introduction, you have covered IPC product introduction. Next, what you're going to do, we're going to do network recorder. So later I'll cover HDCV, so but we're going to do network recorder introduction. So NVR. So this is the one that we're going to talk about. So a minute, it's the file is opening so that we can resume on the same. So we're going to begin with the network recorder introduction. Basically the NVR. For the analog system, we'll cover, I'll arrange for that the same next session I'm going to do analog cameras and analog recorders. That is the XVR and the HDCVI cameras. So we're going the same way we did product naming rule, product introduction, we are going to do the same information on these recorders. So for the overview of our NVR that we have AI NVR, that is NVR that are specialized to do for more AI features or capabilities. And also we have a general NVR. So if you are going to do basic like general surveillance or video surveillance, so we're going to talk about what general NVR entails. Next, the other category of NVR is the EVS. So apparently, EVS is more of storage, but there's a way the EVS can do also function like an NVR. So if you see from the diagram below, you can see the design. By design, also it's a bit different compared to NVR. That is, you can check these slots here are for hard disk. Like this one supports 24 hard disks. Even this one. This one supports 16 hard disks. So we'll talk about what they are. Also in the category for AI NVR. So in NVR we have series 2. There's NVR 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7. For AI NVR, we have series 2, 4, 5. So any NVR with an I at the end, that is an AI NVR. While the ones that don't have I are just general NVR. Then we have the EVS as their own category. So the naming rule for NVR, so this applies to all NVRs. So if you want to understand what function the NVR can do, etc. So you can check by checking the brand. So the first name DHI or DH means that's an Aqua brand, and NVR stands for network video recorder. So 4, 5, that is the solution. So the higher the solution, the better the performance, the more the functionality. So you cannot like a 1 and a 4, 4 is higher. So the value after 4 means the number of hard disk the NVR can support. So if you see like 42, that's 2 HDD, 48, 16, 8 HDD, and 40 means it supports 16 HDD. If you want to know the number of channels, that is the number of devices that NVR can accommodate, the value that follows that. H comes in terms of casing. So if you want to maybe install the NVR in a rack, so you can confirm with the case before purchasing it. P means PoE. That is the power output from the NVR. So it can power the cameras. A W, it means it's a Wi-Fi support NVR. R supports RAID. We talked about RAID. So if you see R, it means the NVR can support RAID, meaning it has capacity of 8 HDD or 16 HDD. The 4K means the output, the resolution, the NVR support from the HDMI port, a generation. So the other values are not that key. Now we resume. So the naming also, there was something that was not mentioned here. Oh, sorry, it's here, IVSS. So we have IVSS is a category of NVR that is, let's say, a high-end NVR. And IVSS looks like the bottom one. You see the bottom one is an IVSS. So the naming rule for IVSS is also different. So IVSS is just like an NVR, but high-end one. So IVSS, the functions, the naming rule is, so 7, it means it's an most like most of them, if not all, are 7 series. And also generation, hard disk, RAID support, how many AI modules the IVSS can support. So the last value here. And the pricing for IVSS is not also expensive, maybe in about $960 you can get an IVSS. 960, yeah, around that value. Naming rule for EVSS. EVSS means embedded video storage. So basically it's more like a storage device. EVS supports a platform is Intel Celeron. We have others that can support Intel, and others that are proprietary to Dahua. So we have Series 5 and Series 7. Generation, the number of hard disks the EVS support. So you have EVSs that support even up to 48 HDD, each hard disk with a capacity of up to 16 terabytes. So you can do the calculation and see the maximum output storage that EVS can support. So control and power. So ESS is not important for this coursework. So sorry. So AI products. So AI products comes in terms of functions of the NVR, including face recognition, video metadata, perimeter protection, SMD, alarm information, and AI search. Some of the IVSS 7 series that are AI include, so we have 16 channel, we have, 16 HDDs, we have 8 HDD, even up to 24 HDD with redundant power supplies. NVR series, we have 5 series with 16 PoE, 16 32 channels, 16 channel, even up to 64 channel. The maximum number of channel, if I'm not wrong, for, so is it 128 or 64? So either. So some of the IVSS 7 series with AI. So the incoming bandwidth maximum of 400 Mbps. You can have 128 channel, that is 128 support 128 cameras. You can do 20 channels at 2 megapixels. Incoming bandwidth of 512 for IVSS 7016. And you can do 24 channel at 2 megapixels decoding, continuous. So these are just introduction of products. So you can, I think you can check this one maybe later from your side at your own pace so that you get to know. So series 5 NVR, it can do ANPR, that is number plate recognition. While if you see series 4 NVR, it cannot do number plate recognition. So maybe just something to mention from that point, the difference. While series 2, it can only do face recognition. That is, sorry, AI NVR can do face recognition, but the normal NVR for series 2 cannot do face recognition. So maybe if you want to do like face recognition for a small retail shop, maybe a small project that requires only 2 cameras, then no need to buy the high-end camera, high-end NVR. You can just choose a series 2 with about maximum of 8 channel, and you'll have your function working. So for product performance and in terms of comparison, maybe just to talk about, let's say ANPR by camera. So a case scenario where you're having a number plate recognition camera. So how many can you implement per device? For example, if you're using IVSS for number plate recognition camera, and in that IVSS you can only do 32 cameras. In IVSS 7016, this series, you can only do 64 channels, maximum 64 cameras. In 5 series cameras, you can do a maximum of 8 channels. So you can check the trend. In AI series, which is 4 series, you can do up to maximum of 4 channels. That is 4 number plate recognition cameras in one NVR. That is the maximum number it can support. So if you're going to do product recommendation, maybe project-based, so you need to understand this little information. Of course, our team from the pre-sales can help you identify such information, and for your side, it will be just implementation and achieving the function. So face recognition, so the same way we achieve face recognition by camera, we can do it by NVR. So you can have a camera that is doing face detection and an NVR that is doing face recognition. So it can be quite cheap to balance the devices and the cost. So in terms of face recognition, some of the functions that are included include common mode, that is you identify someone from the database. You can do stranger mode, that is someone that's not in the database. You can do blacklist alarm. So in case of there's a person, you need to do blacklist. You need to do an alarm on. You can achieve the same. You can do VIP. You can do stranger. You can do AI search. So AI search, you can do search on recognition that has been done before, including face attributes and face metadata, including wearing glasses, a smiling face expression, a beard, etc. Face tracking, quickly locate and catch suspicious people in time. So as I said before, you can do face detection camera with a face AI NVR. So any face detection camera with AI NVR. So from what we talked about earlier on which camera support face detection, you can achieve it with an AI NVR. Maybe a question may arise: how like you want to achieve face recognition with a face detection camera and a face recognition camera. So what is the maximum for face detection camera and AI NVR? Or a face recognition camera and a normal NVR. So in that case, you can see here, you can do a maximum of 4 video stream face recognition. That is the maximum of 4 FR cameras, or you can do a maximum of 16 face detection cameras from the camera side. So you can choose how to implement the same. Of course, again, we can help you in deciding such cases. So a normal camera so a normal camera and an AI NVR, how the recognition is achieved. So it takes the picture comes from the camera, there's the modeling, and then there's comparison. Okay, you can search images from the database you can also upload information into the devices. So maximum number of peaks searching at one time. In IVSS, it's more. So you can search 8 peaks at a time, while NVR can do 8. So all this information like perimeter protection is just a repetition from what we did before. So I don't see anything different. So in terms of false alarm, etc., we talked about this. So high detection metadata, we talked about what metadata is. So you can see gender, expression, glasses, top style, bottom style, trouser, type of vehicle, people number inside. Okay. So advantages of this NVR, you can narrow down to those very little information. You can do searches on like someone who is younger, between 20 to 39 years, etc. So these are just more of the marketing aspect, but it's already what we did. Okay, maybe just to mention on alarm information. So you can do monitoring of alarms from your phone using the software DMSS or the server DSS. Later, I'll arrange a session on the softwares that we as a company provide or have. So we have also solutions for human body temperatures. So these are just some information to mention using a thermal camera and an IVSS. Of course, you need to do some customization on the firmware. So in this kind of firmware, you can have alarms on temperatures, face mask detection, statistics report, that is people counting. I still achieve that one with an NVR and generate reports on the same. People flow. People flow is more of people counting. Temperature monitoring solutions with a standstill and so these are just the product promotion. So maybe apart from moving from the AI NVR, we talk about general NVR, including functions like you can connect Dahua cameras and other cameras. You can do monitoring from your phone. You can do 4K display on your screen, and also you can have a platform that you can do management of the devices. So the general NVR family comes in different categories. So you have the Ultra NVR, Pro NVR, Lite, and entry level. So from Series 1, Series 2, 4, 5, and 6. So you can see the functions here, like for example, in the entry level, most of them support up to 1 HDD. So you can use this graph to compare 1 HDD, and you can do 4 channels at 2 megapixels, achieving 30 frames per second. while the high-end NVR, you can support up to 16 hard disks and doing 16 channels at 2 megapixels while doing a frame rate of 30 frames per second. So can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
There was a
small hitch. So the functions of Series 6 NVR include number plate recognition, supports it's also Intel based. So you also, I think you understand by Intel based and the advantages of Intel processors. Fisheye dewrapping, meaning you can install a fisheye cameras in this NVR. For Series 5, you can also do fisheye dewrapping. You can also do number plate recognition, and the bandwidth is slightly lower compared to Series 6. So this one is 320 Mbps incoming bandwidth. So incoming bandwidth meaning the total bandwidth for the cameras and maybe some other functions like streaming from the NVR. Especially, so basically it's just the cameras. The incoming bandwidth will help you decide the number of cameras that you are installing and which models to get to that NVR so that you can work comfortably and achieve that smooth video surveillance. So for Series 4, you can see Series 4 does not have number plate recognition, but it can do face detection, people counting, P2P. That's P2P is remote monitoring from your phone, smart codec, IPC visiting. So we talked about even functions like perimeter protection from those entry series cameras. So it's just more of the NVR can still support that. I'll just skip this one. So perimeter protection scenario installation by a camera. So you have a camera that is can support perimeter protection and a normal NVR. So NVR 4, 4K S2. So you can achieve a 90% accuracy on the same. So if you want to do perimeter protection, you can see which products to implement. So thermal cameras. Later there's a topic about thermal cameras. People counting by camera. So you need your NVR should also support people counting so that you can get that reports and data, even it's helped in configuration. So you can see the combination of devices that you need to achieve people counting. If you want to do panoramic access, you can see which kind of NVR to use. If you want to do number plate recognition, you can check which you need. Your NVR should support number plate recognition. So we also talked about Epoe technology. This is something that's already covered. I'm not going to repeat. So some NVR model, the PoE output supports Epoe, meaning it can power in cameras at a distance of 300 meters. So Ethernet over coaxial. So at times maybe you might have a system like a customer install analog cameras, and you don't want to unplug those cables. Like you find those cables were installed in such a way that you can't remove them. Maybe there was, in terms of budget saving, you can upgrade and use those coaxial cable as your Ethernet cables and use an IP camera. So you need to use this type of connector. I don't know if we mentioned in our previous sessions. There's this called the LR. So this will help you use coaxial cable to transmit power and data, especially the RG59 cable. Smart codec H265. So this just help you to save on bandwidth. So it's good to always go with the high resolution or high coding technology. So POS may be something that that was mentioned in the functions of NVR and I have not talked about. So there's something called POS, especially from NVR 5 series. So the POS, point of sale, just like another normal point of sale. So the point of sale will help you to understand more of how the cashier is interacting with the products. I think I will cover a different topic on this point of sale so that we understand how precisely it works, because most people don't get to understand it. So we talked about fish ID wrapping, where you have this image from the fish eye made into different categories for understanding. So you can see 8 regions. So, okay, now we talk about EVS. So EVS is categories in NVR, but it's more of a device that is used for storages. So it's because it supports multiple hard disks. However, in a scenario, you can have EVS and cameras only. So EVS will continue recording for the cameras. And the advantages of EVS, you can support features like IP-SAN. So IP-SAN or iSCSI protocol can be used to implement storages, not only for the NVR, but you can use even the storage for industrial based, and you can use in other purposes in your network or in your organization. So that's the advantages of EVS, and it runs on Intel based. You can also create your own cloud storage using the EVS. So a typical scenario of how EVS will be implemented is that you're going to have a EVS maybe in a local network, or if you are a case bank scenario, you can use the MPLS to be able to access the EVS. So I think for the case like Fleury, because it's a network administrator, you understand what I mean by a bank case scenario, where you have local networks but in a different scenarios.
Yes.
Yes. So the EVS, you can implement it by just connecting to the web interface, and also you can also use our platform. So in the traditional way, this is how you'd implement it, but in IP-SAN mode, it means it's an IP storage access network, meaning you can access the storage in a network. I don't know if you understand me by that. Like you can point towards that storage and through IP. But in this mode, the first mode, video stream direct, it means the camera's video information will go to the EVS directly and be stored in that. So if you implement in IP-SAN mode, you can take the full advantage and use it in other purposes, like protocol, the iSCSI, and it has even HTTP support and other functionalities. So for direct storage mode, EVS supports 320 cameras, some 320, some 512, even others 1,000 cameras. So that's the good advantage of EVS. And we have case scenarios where you have our clients here locally installing EVSs in organizations that have multiple branches and storing all the videos in the EVS, because it can store even up to 6 months, depending on your plan for the recording. The advantages of EVS is it's more stable, it's cost effective. So our EVS is not expensive, very cheap. So cases like RAID maintenance, support case functions like hot swap, etc. These are just the functions. You can do AI, but not that deep AI, very basic AI in the EVS. With the storage, more of a storage device. We talked about RAID 5. I'm not going to repeat about it. A storage extension can extend the storage to achieve more HDD. Easy maintenance. It's actually EVS is very easy to configure and very to just like next, and everything is up and running. So EVS family, we have different series, but in case of a project, you can contact us. We help you to do recommendation and give which product based on your cost and what will meet your needs. It's just a summary list. Maybe you can later check on yourself on this case. Okay, so I'm done with the introduction to NVR, EVS, and IVSS for the purposes for the certification. I don't know if there's any question regarding the same. If not, maybe if there's something that you need me to clarify or maybe repeat on the same, you can request. And I'm going to prepare the videos, then I send the videos that we have done training by the end of weekend or by Monday. For the slides, I'll also organize for the same because there's a bit of an issue with the slides. So I need to communicate with the HP for the same. So is there any question from Joel or Fleury?
No, it's fine.
No, it's all okay.
It's okay.
Yes.
Okay,
It's okay.
Thank you for your time, and you can
Okay.
have a nice
Moment.
We'll meet on
All right.
Monday.
Thank you too. And all right.
Okay, bye.